Yeah, guy. Yeah, friggin' guy. Yeah, guy, what are the waves like, bro? Huh?
Terrible, actually. Yeah, guy, what's up, Scott?
Down the Line Surf Talk podcast. Scott Bass, David Lee Scales with you on this Monday, December 12th. We're all waiting for the PipeMasters event to kick off, and the waves here in Southern California have been horrible. And David, good morning.
Morning, Scott. Yeah, I'm struggling right now with no waves.
Well, here's the deal. There's not going to be any surf for a long time.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you know, when I say long time, I mean in Southern California, say from Point Conception down, we're probably not going to see any significant swell for at least 10 days.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, there might be some wind swell that comes with a storm system that might
Sure.
a locally produced wind event that
Yeah.
might happen even like Friday, but it's just going to be hideous.
Yeah.
20 knot onshore wind and 3 foot, 4 foot wind swell at 4 seconds, you know?
Desperate times call for desperate measures, dude.
Yeah.
It's getting there.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know what to do with myself. I've got latent energy that can't be expelled in any other way. Like I've been going to yoga and trying to do a bunch of other stuff, and that's good, but I need to get in the water.
Well, you know what? It's a snowboarding winter, I think, quite frankly. At least this December is a snowboarding December because there's tons of snow. Not tons, but they've been getting a good amount of snow in Mammoth and Tahoe and everywhere north of there and in Utah. And so, yeah, that's been on my radar a little bit, snowboarding. But I do know what you mean. There's been a lot of pent up, you know, I got to get out and exercise.
Totally. And just get in the water, cold water, you just get used to it.
Yeah.
Not the coldness of it, but just the kind of refreshing snap to your, I don't know, state of being.
Yeah, I mean, we all like to rinse off the stress, and this conversation is sort of relevant to our Southern California listeners only, or actually, I guess for all of California and even Hawaii. But what's happened is, as many know, we're in a sort of a modest La Nina, which means that we have really strong trade winds, which are blowing cold water over the western equatorial grid, which is, well, I don't want to get too technical. Let's just say it's kind of, over the West Pacific, a La Nina, cool water temperature, which just doesn't fuel the upper atmosphere, which is what creates low pressure systems, which in turn creates storms and wind fetch over a large area, which is going to produce long period swell for us on the California coast. So that La Nina, and the fact that there's also, as a byproduct of La Nina, there's a lot of high pressure that's set up over the northeastern Pacific, and that steers the jet stream way up north. We've got what they call a polar jet, so we've got a really cold and high jet stream, the upper level winds, which are about 30,000 feet, which are what creates the low pressure on the surface. Those are way up high up into Canada and into the Arctic, and once they get over the North American continent, they sort of start to slide down into California. So we're getting a lot of wind and weather in the Northwest Pacific, and that brings down snow into Tahoe and into Mammoth and stuff, but no fetch producing surf.
Well, good time to diversify your skill set, I suppose.
Was that too scientific, or did I?
No. People dig it.
Did everyone get bored out of their minds there?
People dig it. We should, by the way, mention that we're in the Surfing Heritage and Culture Center.
Absolutely.
Surfingheritage.org. The Smithsonian of Surfing is kind enough to allow us to use their library every 2 weeks so that Scott and I can use it as our home studio. Scott and I live an hour and a half apart, so this allows us to meet right in the middle, 45 minutes for each of us, and bring you guys this show. So shout out to Surfing Heritage.
I just walked back into the main sort of foyer, I guess, if you will, or the main hall of the Surfing Heritage and Culture Center. And I was by myself in this really wide open room surrounded by all of those gorgeous surfboards, a historic timeline of surfboards. And I took a moment, I stood and took it all in, and I just went, wow, it's quiet. There's nobody in here, and look at all of these surfboards. It was insane.
Bask in the reverie.
I was basking. Thank you. Bass was basking.
Bass was basking. Solid. By the way, dude, Your comedy has reached new heights lately.
What did I do?
First of all, you named my hair the Chop Hop, which was amazing. But then I posted an Instagram of my tree, which was like leaning over at a 45-degree angle, about to fall down. And you're like, oh, that's the Chop Hop of Christmas trees.
That's right.
I was dying, dude. And then multiple people commented on it. We're like, that was hilarious.
Yeah, man.
So well done, dude. You're really taking that
You know what?
joke like all the way, milking it and it's great.
It hasn't even begun to be milked. We'll be pulling at the udders for a long time.
Bass. I don't know. Milking the teat of the Chop Hop.
Yes.
I like it. You got emails or
I do.
follow-up?
I have an email that says, keep up the... Oh, by the way, I want to give a shout out to those listeners that have been donating. And we even have some that, many actually, that have been doing a subscription based. David and I are asking for $5 a month.
Yeah.
And I see Mark Freeman, who's a good friend, a good friend of the show. And Koa Pickering, who's a longtime listener. Both those guys, longtime listeners of the Downline podcast, have donated $5, or on a subscription. They've promised $5 a month.
And also our players in the Fantasy Surf League. Both of those guys are.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for doing that. And I know David and I have been getting donations as well. So we appreciate that. And
keeps the show going, dude.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. This is basically an experimental platform. And you and I have been experimenting with it for years and years and years. An experiment in kind of a new media outlet for surfing, and these people are our principal investors.
They are.
We need investors in this experiment to keep it going.
And I bring that up because you mentioned we're an hour and a half away. I mean, we produce this show. This show takes hours and hours and hours to produce just 1 hour of a show. And then we drive an hour and a half to get here to meet, and we do it twice a week. And we'd like to do it once a week, but, resources are limited.
We'll get there.
Yeah. And I know that David and I have some plans like to include the listeners more in regards to the show content and how we do that. We're going to break that stuff out probably later on, maybe next show.
Yeah.
Regarding some other ideas that we have.
Yeah.
But I got this email. Keep up the good work. The Surf Podcast. You and David are a great team! !
Yeah.
Here is my question. I am planning on an Indo surf trip in the Mentawais in July of 2017. Should I go by boat or by resort? And then he said, can you recommend a boat or a resort? Have you been there? Is it worth it? What's the crowd like? Etc. What are the 5 must-haves for a surf trip in the Mentawais? And I remember when you told a really funny story on the podcast years ago about a boat trip that you took where you were caught in a rip current and somehow you sneaked out and you jumped off the boat unnoticed and you were the first one in the lineup. I think such kinds of stories would make the pod even better. Thanks. Greetings from Germany.
Wow.
Alex. So Alex, a longtime listener, and he's got, it's a good kickoff, if you will, David, because I know you travel a lot. Have you been to the Mentawais?
No.
Okay. But you go to Central America a lot, like twice a year, maybe.
I mean, Central America, Europe, Hawaii, that sort of stuff, but never Indo.
So he brings up sort of a broader subject, which is surf travel, and it's something that you and I have done extensively, and we could probably touch on more.
Yeah.
And so to answer Alex's question, I have some suggestions, some must-haves for the Mentawais. This is actually the time of year when you're going to go to the Mentawais. You start to think about booking your trip for the Mentawais. For one, you got to save up for it. 2, you're thinking about boards. 3, right now it's flat, so you're geeking out on a surf trip. And, you want to book the trip now so that you can get in because these trips do book up. It gets, it can get booked up quick. So must-haves for the Mentawais for Alex. One of the things you have to have, and I think this goes for any trip, David, is a good book. One book or 2 books?
I was not expecting that. At least 2. I would.
Yeah, you got to have at least 2 good books, right?
Sure.
The flight to the Mentawais is 17 or 18 hours.
Yeah.
So, and then you're on a boat or a resort, you're going to need a couple books. So a good book. The other thing for the Mentawais that you need is 2 of the same surfboard. Same exact board. You need a replica of it.
I like it.
Because you're going to break one.
Yeah.
And you need to have the backup. Mm-hmm. And for the Mentawais, you don't need a big surfboard. You're looking at two of your daily drivers, whatever it is you ride every day in good waves.
Yeah.
You need two of those. And as far as a step up, you might bring a step up, but nothing too large. Like my step up is a 6.6 out there.
Yeah.
You don't need anything over 7 feet for the Mentawais. When the waves are 10 feet, like it's a huge, significant, massive, deep swell, a 6.6 is going to be plenty because it's so clean. It's not like deep ocean, Sunset Beach. It's like clean coming to you. Most of the waves. There are a few waves out there that require a little bit more board, but 6.6 will be plenty board. Earplugs for sleeping.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you need earplugs for sleeping. These are must-have things. Not
because the boat's loud, or you're rooming with guys who are potentially snoring.
All of those things and more. Any noise which might keep you from a fine slumber. So earplugs. And another must-have. This might just be me being old.
Yes.
You got to have your own pillow.
Yep, that's you being old for sure.
Bring your own pillow. I'm telling you, that's a must-have. Good book, two of the same board, earplugs, and your own pillow. Those are my 4 must-haves.
Scott's extended 10-item list. Preparation H. Insure. All these older old guys.
Wow. That was not cool.
Just messing with you.
You had to go there. Preparation H. No. But I do suggest those 4 things. 2 good books, 2 of the same board, earplugs, and your own pillow. Those are must-haves.
Okay.
Look, you need other things. That's up to you. You might, like Dave said, Preparation H. Apparently Dave has this thing for Preparation H.
So, but okay, let me break it down. I know you got more to read off there, but
yeah, take your time.
Those things apply to a lot of surf trips.
They do.
I think that our listener is asking specifically to this surf region.
Specifically 2 of the same board.
Okay. Yeah, and you know what? I hadn't really thought of doing that before. I've been on a number of surf trips. I bring a number of boards, but I never think about bringing 2 of the same.
And here's another item you need for any surf trip.
Okay.
Must have for any surf trip. Low expectations of surf.
Very true. That'll help you have a good time no matter
Expect waves of 2 to 3 feet.
Yeah.
And be excited for waves of 2 to 3 feet. Anything you get over that,
you're psyched.
It's all gravy.
Yeah.
Keep your expectations low.
Yeah.
And you will have a good time.
Cool. I like it.
Don't overpack for the Mentawais.
Just a couple pairs of board shorts is all you need, right?
Do not overpack.
Yeah.
I have here 2 pairs of board shorts, 2 pairs of walking shorts, 4 T-shirts, and a very light rain jacket.
Yep.
Boom.
Yep. That's honestly 1 pair of walking shorts will get you through everything.
That's true.
Yeah.
They'll be stinky. But
you're never going to wear them.
So will you. And
you're just wearing trunks though.
Well, you'll only wear them for the airport transfers.
Yeah.
Like your day there and your day coming home.
Yep.
So those are must-haves, Alex.
I like it.
For the Mentawais.
Let me ask you, though, in regard to his questions about what are the crowds like, I feel like that's kind of a played-out surf destination, Like, I would love to go, and I haven't been, but I also feel like I'm late to the game, and I'd rather now go somewhere that's a little more, I don't know, less
I would agree with that. But if you have never been, you need to go and just go and experience it. And it might be crowded. It might not be. A lot of it depends on the time of year you go and what the season is like relative to how much swell there is. And really the most important thing is the wind. If the wind is the right wind, all of the spots will be on it. It'll spread everyone out. If the wind's a hideous wind, which I want to say is a southeast wind, I could be wrong, but there's one wind out there that's just really bad, and all the boats go to one little area that kind of can handle the wind.
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
Sure.
So a lot of it is just like any spot, If the wind is good and the swell's in the water, everywhere will be firing and it'll be light crowd at most spots.
Very cool. Do you have more in that email? Because I've got an email.
No, I don't.
Okay. Let me segue.
I do have plenty of Mentawai stories that we can do in a later show.
Okay. Let me segue real quick to an email I got from Zach. Zach said, "Dear David and Scott, I've been listening to Scott since he was doing the podcast as part of his radio show with Sam George as his co-host. I've been through Marty, Baldy, James Priberman, and numerous other sidekicks, but the dynamic between you two is great. Thanks so much for bringing this wonderful surf-centric content to the web so East Coasters like myself can stay abreast of the industry's going-ons and some parking lot gossip that we wouldn't be privy to anywhere else. I wanted to share a story with you since you were talking about Dan Bendixson on the last episode and David's interview with Wayne Rich. I was living in North Carolina in 2000. We were going to LA to visit our friend in SoCal, and a buddy of mine said, hey, you should call up Danny. He'd be happy to loan you a board, and you could duke it out with the crowd at Malibu. So I gave Dan Bendixson a call. I had never met him before, but my friend recommended him. And I went to the Santa Monica fire station where he was one of the captains of the squad. This bear of a man shook my hand, gave me a hug, and then handed over the keys to his house. He directed me to his shaping room, and on the racks there was a gleaming brand new 10-footer. I had no idea he was going to loan me a brand new surfboard. At any rate, the day at Malibu was magical, and I must have surfed for 4 hours. I returned the board and left him a thank you note, and he replied with a phone call to see how things went. Here's a guy I've never met in my life, and he shows me the most aloha I've ever experienced. I'll always remember his generosity, and I'll try to pay it forward by loaning boards to any of my friends that want to give it a try. Thanks again for giving us surf-crazed pod consumers the best podcast out there. Mahalo and aloha from Zach.
Wow. What a great email, Zach. I'm glad you had such a great experience with Dan Bendixson. He's no longer with us. May he rest in peace. But what a cool story.
Crazy, right?
What a great guy.
I know. I'm shocked to hear that. But again, rad that this podcast kind of connects the dots among like-minded individuals.
I don't know much about Dan Bendixson. Only what Wayne Rich tells me, which is that he's just a great guy and a great mentor in the shaping bay. Mm-hmm. And literally that's it. Like I haven't had any deep Bendixson stories from Wayne or anything. And maybe he shed more light on your podcast with him. I don't know, but was Dan Bendixson a fire chief?
Apparently.
Yeah, I don't know. I
didn't know that either.
And when did he pass away? Did Zach's email, he said it was in 2000?
2000, yeah.
All right. Well, cool.
So, yeah, I mean...
It makes sense. All those guys end up being firemen.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Wayne spoke incredibly reverently and lovingly about Dan, and also said that Dan's wife was Wayne's swim coach when Wayne was a kid.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, I know that that South Bay shaping, I mean, you know who else comes to mind is Joe Bark. Okay. I know Joe Bark was an LA County lifeguard, I believe. Yeah. I'm not sure which where he worked exactly. I think it was the LA County, might have been city or something. I don't know.
And his son's the paddleboard guy?
Well, yeah, Joe Bark's the paddleboard guy. Joe Bark's the radical. And I've had some great Joe Bark surfboards. Yeah. All the guys at Lunada Bay used to ride the Joe Barks, you know. And that same crew of guys would go down to Puerto Escondido with their Joe Bark guns. This is in like the late 80s, early 90s. And even into now, probably, I'm sure there's still guys riding Barks down there. Yeah. But, and now his son, is like a real world champion paddleboarder.
Right. Quick another detour. You mentioned needing earplugs for Indo. I've got kind of a tangential thing for you.
Uh-oh.
Actual Surf Ears earplugs for you. Magnus from Surf Ears sent a package of plugs for you and for I to wear and to try out. Yeah.
David has just handed me this really nice set of surfing earplugs that let sound in and keep water out from Magnus.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Magnus.
Magnus at Surf Ears.
I have major ear issues.
Do you?
So, yeah.
Well, so Magnus emailed me a while back, and he's like, dude, I'm a listener of the show. I know sometimes people send you guys product. You don't have to review it on the show. You don't even have to talk about it, but I just want to get it in your hands if you guys want to check it out. So here it is. We can review it later, obviously.
We will review it later. It says, designed for water athletes, Surf Ears earplugs protect your ears without affecting hearing and balance.
Yeah.
With Surf Ears, you can hear your environment and hold a normal conversation with fellow surfers. And they prevent common issues like swimmer's ear, which is otitis, and surfer's ear, exostosis. Clearly designed with changeable parts, Surf Ears can be custom fit to your ears, providing great seal and comfort. Well, thank you, Magnus. We look forward to wearing these. It feels like Christmas.
I know, and this is an updated design too. They had Surf Ears like the 1.0 version. This is the brand new one, 2.0.
Killer.
So they're improved. But you do have ear issues?
I do, yeah. I've had ear issues forever.
I mean, we all do, right?
Right. I mean, who doesn't, right?
But mine, obviously, and it just gets worse and worse. They get more and more closed. The calcium kind of bony growth from the cold water.
Exostosis.
Exactly. So, and mine just this past week kind of started closing up again. I don't know. I did something, maybe just went in the water and they got clogged, and it's just miserable, dude. There's nothing you could do about it. I have eardrops, but eardrops, by the way, are the most annoying. 3 times a day, tilt your head over, and then half of it drains out. Like, I don't feel like they actually do anything. You know what I mean?
Well, the greatest problem that David and I suffer from regarding our ear issue is sloth, which is the inability. Like, I forget, or I'm too lazy, quite frankly, to put earplugs or eardrops in. It drives my wife crazy, and there's no excuse for it other than sloth, which is one of the 7 deadly sins.
I also really embrace a number of the other 7 deadly sins too. Sloth is only one of them that I engage in.
Oh no!
What are the others? I'm really good at gluttony. I'm good at pride.
I know. You know what? Sad but true.
It really is.
Envy.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I'm huge on
when
envy.
you think about the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah.
Those are character breakers. We need to. You know what? We've recognized them, David, you and I, and we're going to do our best to improve upon our character by not partaking.
I feel like you're really envious of the chop hop oftentimes, and so that is one trait that you really need to work on.
Here's what's sad. I'm not envious of the chop hop, but I will be envious of the attention that it gets you.
Oh!
Yeah. That's
which I think ties in with pride a little bit.
For sure. I'm an egomaniac with an inferiority complex.
Dude, ego is not your amigo, Scott.
No, it is not. Ego's not your amigo. Edging God out. EGO. Edging God out. Oh, man. We're going all sorts of places. Do we talk surf at all on this show?
I think we touched on it a few times in this first 20 minutes.
Well, there is a Frederico Moraes Triple Crown controversy. A small one, perhaps.
Okay. I'm listening.
Well, will you do me a favor and give the listeners some backstory on who Frederico Moraes is and where he is at with this Triple Crown standing?
I will. And I would like to call your attention, for my own ego, to the fact that 2 years ago, he was my Duke of the Week one week because he was the Rookie of the Year. I want to say it was 2014. It might have been 2013. Not the Rookie of the Year. He was, the Rookie of the Triple Crown. Like, he won or, like, made a couple finals in the Triple Crown events, and he was this no-name kid, and he got the Rookie of the Year. And so I mentioned it on this show. I'm like, dude, this kid's my Duke of the Week because who's ever heard of him? He's some kid from Portugal, and he won the Rookie of the Year at the Triple Crown. The following year, he went on to beat Kelly Slater in the Portugal event, which bumped Kelly Slater out of the world title race. So that's where he first got on my radar. But essentially, to answer your question, Frederico Moraes, he's a lanky, regular footer from Cascais, Portugal, and he's basically this giant killer. He's come on the scene, and he's taking out guys in big events like Kelly Slater. This year, he's in the Triple Crown event. He was kind of low on the rank, not low on the rankings, but outside the top 10 on the QS rankings. And then he made the final at Haleiwa and
almost won it.
I think, almost won it. He was up against he and John. They actually tied in the final, but John had the highest single wave score, so John won the event. But that pushed Frederico into the top 10 qualifying series, and then he continued to he made the final at Sunset as well. So now he's officially qualified for the 2017 World Tour, which is a big feather in his cap, and he's number 1 on the Triple Crown standings to win this Triple Crown.
Which leads us into this controversy.
But John, by the way, won the first event and could potentially win Pipe, and so John might actually win the Triple Crown. He and Frederico,
but no one knows, right? That's the point.
He and Frederico are going to duke it out.
And there's another guy that could maybe even be in the running for the Triple Crown. But the controversy, and by the way, the Triple Crown is nothing without controversy. You and I have talked about the Triple Crown needs to be more than it is. It needs to be more important to the fans than it is. I know it's important to the surfers, but it needs to have more spotlight shown upon it. Is that the right verbiage?
Good enough for me.
Shined upon.
By the way, the internet's back if you need it.
Oh, okay, cool. So for a little while there, Frederico Moraes didn't have a spot in the Pipeline event.
Right.
So the Triple Crown is 3 events. 2 of them are WCT 10,000 pointer or QS 10,000 pointers. So the top 100 QS guys trying to qualify to get into the big leagues surf in the first two events, as well as some CT guys that are already in the big leagues. They will surf in those first two events. And then the third jewel of the Cripple Challenge is, of course, the Billabong Pipeline Masters, but that's only a CT event. I know most of you know that. I'm just catching people up.
Yeah, of course.
So because it's a CT event, you can be leading the Triple Crown in the ratings and not even have a chance to win the Triple Crown.
Right. Which
rarely happens, but sometimes this controversy does happen. I remember back, I think it was 2002, there was a surfer from Australia who was a Rip Curl team rider. His name was Zane Harrison.
Yep.
Where is he now? Who knows? He's probably selling Vegemite somewhere. I don't know.
Probably sales rep for Rip.
Maybe. Who knows? But the point is, even then, he was sort of, his star was sort of falling. Like he was, at the Rip Curl team house. But so Zane Harrison did well at Haleiwa. I think he won Sunset.
Yeah.
And so he's leading the Triple Crown. And I'm not even sure if he got into the PipeMasters. My memory fails me, but I remember the controversy occurring, much like it's occurring this year. We've got a guy that's done well in both events leading up to the final jewel of the Triple Crown, and he may not even be able to win the Triple Crown because he doesn't have a spot in this QS event. There's 36 spots, 34 of them go to the CT surfers, and there are 2 wildcard spots, who you would think automatically the guy leading the Triple Crown would get one of those spots.
Sure.
But that's not how it works. Now, Peter Mell even said, hey, he doesn't have a spot. This was a couple of weeks ago during the Sunset event. He's not going to have a spot as of now in the Billabong Pipeline Masters. About a few weeks have passed, and lo and behold, 2 guys, who are they? Adam Melling and one other guy. There's 2 injury, basically.
Stewie Kennedy.
No, it's
Sebastian Zietz.
No, guys that fell off because of injury. Fell out of the PipeMasters because it's Melling and somebody else.
Oh.
And it's a Brazilian.
Matt Banting.
Maybe that's it. It's Banting and some, So Banting and a Brazilian guy, whoever. So they're out of it. So this leaves 2 spots open because of the injury wild card. And those 2 spots, one of them is going to Federico Moraes.
Okay.
But to me, that's kind of like, I imagine that the powers that be would have found a spot for Federico somewhere.
Yeah.
But it seems like if you're hoping to get in because you're hoping somebody's injured, that doesn't seem right. In other words, it seems like the first, in my opinion, if you have a chance to win the Triple Crown by winning the Pipeline Masters, then you need a spot in the Pipeline Masters, no matter what, no matter how it works out. You can't not have a chance to win the Triple Crown and not be in the PipeMasters. Mm-hmm. It's just wrong. And that's one of the issues that needs to be resolved. They need to figure that out. For instance, Mark Lackamore. Mark Lackamore has a chance to win the Triple Crown. He's not in the PipeMasters. He won't be in the PipeMasters. Yeah. To me, as a league, as the WSL, as pro surfing, you're missing out on a chance to have a great story, to have a story you can tell for 30 years about, here's this young blue-collar upstart, Mark Lackamore, not necessarily young. He's been on the tour, or he's been trying to be on the tour for a long time. He's been grinding forever. This is his one chance to maybe, it's a very long shot, 100 to 1 that he'll win the PipeMasters. But he could do it, and he could win the Triple Crown. So therein lies sort of the impetus for this story, that the Triple Crown and pro surfing, whoever it is, and I know there's a lot of politics, this is one of the bumps in the road that they need to comb out of this tangle that is the Triple Crown and pro surfing in Hawaii.
Well, are you going to read more? Or?
Go ahead.
Okay. No, I don't mean to interrupt.
You're not interrupting.
I mean, the problem is with that line of thinking that you have is like, well, you got to let Federico in because he's number 1 on the Triple Crown ratings, but where does that list end? You're mentioning Mark Lackamore. Where is he ranked?
6th.
But in theory, maybe the top 12 guys in the Triple Crown ratings could potentially win mathematically.
And therefore,
but do you add 12 guys to the PipeMasters?
Well, wait. If they could mathematically win the Triple Crown
by winning Pipe,
they should be allowed to surf at Pipe.
Yeah, but
well, why even have it? That's my point. It's like,
I mean, I get it.
You make a great point. Where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
And if that's where the line is drawn, then why do you even have, do I or do I not have a chance to win the Triple Crown? If I do, give me the chance.
Yeah.
If I don't, then why am I signing up for it?
Yeah, exactly. I guess you'd have to weigh the numbers a little differently so that the math...
Well, look, they're not even given a shot in the trials.
Yeah.
Is Mark Lackamore even in the trials?
Probably not.
Look, will you do me a favor and look online? I looked at the trials this morning and I didn't see his name, but I don't want to be. But my point is that these are some of the issues that it seems like for years and decades we always had these little problems and we just always kind of like brushed them under the rug, like, oh well, it's Hawaii, that's just what happens. It seems now with the establishment of the WSL, what are we into our 4th year of the WSL or 3rd year? They've gotten their roots in the ground. They don't seem to be leaving. It seems to be a really good thing. You and I agree, and all of us that love pro surfing agree that we sense that there's some stability with the WSL. Let's solve this problem.
Sure.
Maybe it's not this year, but certainly by this time next year, couldn't we have this problem resolved?
Right.
Where the Triple Crown is more prestigious, and there's actually a path for a young guy that wins Haleiwa, does well at Sunset, could win the Triple Crown. Give him a path to win the Triple Crown.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what in the hell are we doing? Why? It's not that it's prestigious, except for there's there's a caveat.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it prestigious or is it not prestigious?
Right. Mark Lackamore is not in the
so Mark Lackamore
Invitational
could win the Triple Crown, except he can't win the Triple Crown.
Yeah,
it's a problem
because he's not surfing the 3rd event.
Right.
Yeah.
Well.
It's a problem.
Doesn't it seem like a problem?
It is.
I'd be pissed if I was Mark Lackamore. I feel like the underdog's not being served here.
Yeah.
And by the way, Bruce Irons is in it.
How do you feel about that? No, Bruce Irons isn't in the trials event. Bruce got gifted a wild card into the actual event.
Right. He and Frederico got the 2 injury wild cards.
Right.
And so there's still 2 wild cards that are going to come from the trials.
Exactly.
How do I feel about Bruce Irons getting the injury wild card?
Start the controversy.
I feel like it's in loving memory of Andy Irons, right? Bruce Irons is worthy on paper. He's won this event. I've always said that I think the past winners should be allowed, like the Masters. They should be in the event.
In your version of the PipeMasters, there's 142 surfers.
You know what? In my version of the PipeMasters, the past winners are more important than the bottom 10 of the CT.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's get rid of the bottom 10 of the CT and fill those with potential winners of the Triple Crown and past winners of the PipeMasters, including Rob Machado and Bruce Irons and Jamie O'Brien. Yeah. If you're a past winner and you're not already qualified, you should get a spot. And for sure, I guess so. My feeling is the people that have a chance to win the Triple Crown should be the first ones let in. Mm-hmm. Then past winners. Then if there's any spots left from the bottom 10 of the CT, those guys can get in. And of course, we do always save 2 spots for the trials winners. I think I just solved my problem on the air. Our problem.
So Bruce Irons, though.
Bruce Irons. His total heat score for round 1 will either be 18 or it'll be 3.
Yeah.
He won't get past round 3.
Yeah.
And my gut feeling is I'd rather see Mark Lackamore. Yeah, I've had more interest in Mark Lackamore surfing in it than Bruce Irons. Well, but I do feel like past winners should be allowed, so I'm sort of being contradictory here.
I mean, last year they had Bruce. They allowed Bruce the same wild card spot into the event, and I rallied against it, and I was vindicated in my rally because he lost immediately. And this year he was surf Sunset. I think he got 1 wave, and it was like a 2 or a 4 or something.
You mean he didn't
get a backup wave?
Did he seem to care?
No, he doesn't seem to care about anything ever. Like I love Bruce, and he was one of my favorite surfers growing up, and I want to see Bruce the way that I experienced him as a youth.
Which isn't going to happen.
It's not going to happen again. He's proven it over and over, and he gets these earned entries. They're earned based on his past performance, but honestly, they're kind of gifts at this point in his career, and he squanders them every single time. So
do you think that this is a political play? Like, gosh, I guess we have to put Bruce in because it's Andy, and if we don't put Bruce in, we look like crap.
Well,
and
last
we really have to do this for politics of Hawaii to make all the players and the power brokers feel at ease over there, and so that we're at ease over there. And
there's some of that. And last year, if you remember, it was a social media thing. Like everybody got there was a hashtag on Instagram, and everybody was like, "Get Bruce into pipe." And so I think the WSL caved to that a little bit, but I felt like, okay, cave to it once and let him prove us wrong or right, and then he didn't.
So maybe the hashtag this year is make Bruce
prove it. Yeah, exactly. I like it, dude.
Hashtag make Bruce earn it.
Yeah, and again, I want the best from Bruce, but he's just not delivering it. So I think there's much, again, Jack Robinson earned a place through the trials event last year and got into the main event, and Robinson killed it. So it's like, gift that guy a spot into the event. I'd rather see that.
I'd love to see that guy. I hope he gets through the trials.
Yeah, he's in heat number 2 in the trials.
The trials they look pretty heavy.
Yeah, well, they always are.
I know, they are.
They just made the call. My volume was down, so I'm not sure if they're going to run or not, but there's definitely waves.
Oh, good.
It's
then
big.
They're going to run it. I'm going to have to take a peek at it.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Bruce irons,
yeah,
WeedMaps. WeedMaps. What is WeedMaps, David?
I think it's a map. It's an app on your phone that is a map to where you can buy weed locally, like all the different what are they? Retailers, marijuana retailers, right?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's an application that you can use to find weed. Just the concept of branding something weed, like
Welcome to the future, dude.
Yeah, that's fine. I have a bunch of thoughts about this, right?
But the relevance is that Bruce is...
There's a house on the North Shore, the WeedMaps House on the North Shore. So I went online, I looked at what the WeedMaps House is all about on the North Shore. Let me read some of the copy from the WeedMaps website. The WeedMaps House on the North Shore. And I quote, "Dispelling and rehabilitating the marijuana plant's public persona, the Sunset Beach property will be a temporary cultural center, providing refuge for the mind, body, and soul. Sanctuary for the likes of Bruce Irons, Joel Tudor, Dustin Barca, Boo Johnson, Nathan Fletcher, and Simon Rex. A diverse group of surfers, skaters, and motocross enthusiasts will be communing with nature and enjoying the company of like-minded souls.
Okay.
Demonstrating their aloha for a healthy lifestyle and the critical role cannabis plays in keeping them pharmaceutically free. A stunningly talented and diverse group of gravity-defying gladiators will go through their daily routine and perform in their adrenaline-pumping disciplines. More than just thrill seekers looking for a rush, so they are that. They are looking for a rush. This group of top athletes are on a synergistic mission to demonstrate how healthy living coexists with today's marijuana consumers to a sometimes skeptical world." David, my question to you is this.
Yep.
Is putting smoke into your lungs healthy? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. At what age should I start my children on this wellness regime?
There's a time and like if they have a particular ailment that this remedies, that's when you should start them.
And what is this remedy? Is this remedy putting smoke into their lungs?
Well, you can weigh out, there's a cost-benefit analysis, right? And so if you have depression and this treats depression, but it also puts smoke into your lungs, which has, like, the depression will prevent me from going to work, but I might have to deal with lung cancer in the future. How do you weigh that out?
What about the development of my brain?
Yeah.
There's a part in your brain, I think it's called the precortex. Prefrontal cortex that's not fully developed until you're in males, only in males, until you're 25 years old.
Yeah.
It's been proven that when you drink alcohol, when you take psychoactive drugs such as LSD, marijuana, this affects your prefrontal cortex.
Development.
The development of it. Yeah. So
yeah, maybe wait till after 25. And then prescribe and diagnose.
Now, isn't it true that I can get the benefits from marijuana? The benefit being cannabinoids, CBD, in a non-psychoactive way through a pill format. So I don't have to take the smoke into my lungs. I can take the CBD pill, the cannabinoid pill, it doesn't affect me at all in a psychoactive way. In other words, I don't get high, I don't get low, I don't get stoned, I don't get whatever it is you get when you smoke a joint.
Yeah.
I can take this pill. Isn't it true that I can take cannabinoid in a pill form and get all the benefits?
I don't know that.
Well, the answer is yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
In fact, people do that, like chemo patients, so that it'll help with hunger, so forth and so on. So you don't need to smoke weed to get benefits of marijuana.
In anything that you read from the WeedMaps thing, are they talking about smoking it?
No.
You're assuming they're smoking it.
Yeah, I am.
They might just be baking brownies over at that house, dude.
Baking brownies is not... You're still getting the psychoactive...
Of course, but you're not getting the... You started that off of the smoking analogy, like, oh, you're putting smoke into your lungs. Isn't that bad for you?
Right. I just want to determine that putting smoke in your lungs is not a good idea. So if you're baking brownies and eating it, that's fine if that's how you want to escape. Would you agree that taking a pot brownie to get high is an escape from reality? That you're escaping reality?
That's not the only reason people do it, though.
No, I agree. I agree. But would you suggest that...
That's one reason why people do it. Yes,
right,
I would
to
agree
escape
with that.
reality. Right.
But there's
because
also...
in their verbiage here, they are saying that. Let me try to find it. That there's a critical role that cannabis plays in keeping them pharmaceutically free. So they're suggesting that if they don't take cannabis, that they're not going to be pharmaceutically free. Sure. That they have a problem with pharmaceuticals, and the cannabis is their solution to this problem. Otherwise, they'd be strung out on something.
Right. Yeah, they have a problem that they would normally treat with pharmaceuticals. This is a natural remedy.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm not...
By the way, I have no problem with... I voted for the legalization of marijuana in California just last month.
I mean, honestly, I'm not an expert, clearly, on any of this.
I just question the way they market it. The way they market this whole thing to me is like... There's this vibe of, hey, it's cool to get stoned.
Yeah.
And I'm not so sure it's cool to get stoned. It might be cool to get stoned. Yeah. I'm not so sure that it is cool to get stoned. It depends on what you mean by stoned. If stoned means like get out of it and not face life on life's terms, I kind of have a problem with that. I think you should be a man enough to face life on life's terms. Now, granted, that's sort of this black and white thing, and there are people with chemo and people with depression and autism and all sorts of stuff that I think CBD, cannabinoid, the non-psychoactive element, will help. I think there's a lot of benefits to marijuana. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
I have a problem with the way that they sort of market this thing towards a teenager that's like, oh, look how cool. And I think if you go over to the WeedMaps House, and I may be wrong, but I got a feeling that they're blowing joints over there.
Well, there's an image that showed up on Instagram this week. It might have been Sherman who shot it. I'm not exactly sure. But at the Ruka House with Bruce blowing this massive cloud of smoke into... Berta, the Indonesian surfer kid, face. Like the Indonesian kid's face has completely disappeared behind this cloud of smoke. And Bruce but it's a hilarious image. And then I saw it pop up multiple times on other people's feeds. And it's funny, but it is glorifying that's smoking.
And it doesn't demonstrate a healthy lifestyle that this WeedMaps House on the North Shore is supposed to be. According to their thing, they're trying to demonstrate a healthy lifestyle with this whole wellness thing and yoga and
by the way,
it seems like a big scam. To me, it just seems like a scam. Like the bullshit detector goes off.
I think you're attaching a little bit of personal whatever attached to that because, to be honest, just the verbiage there doesn't really promote anything negative. You're attaching it to what you know about Bruce and what you know about Nathan Fletcher and what you know about these people and their personas.
The image that you just said was on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly.
It totally contradicts what the WeedMaps House on the North Shore is supposed to be about.
But if they said, hey, Kelly Slater and Mick Fanning are staying in this house, and these are guys that are promoting our product, you would feel very differently about it. Because
I have a feeling that those guys would come out and say, hey, here's my stance on it.
Right.
And I would know what's going on. I know Kelly wouldn't just go, yeah, I'm staying at the WeedMaps House. He'd be like, this is why.
Of course.
Boom, boom, boom. Whereas with Bruce, Joel, Dustin Barca, you just get the feeling that it seems like you can go over there and get, like, you just don't.
Of course.
There's a bit of a BS detector that's
what I'm
like
saying.
Blaring on me.
That's what I'm saying, is that those guys' association with it is what's making you critical of what their real objective is. Now, by the way,
I'm pro marijuana. I voted for the legalization of recreational use of marijuana. I think the war on drugs is a joke. I think there's money that could be better spent. Take that money and put it towards, rehabilitation facilities for people strung out on Norco or whatever they're strung out on.
By the way, I thought that Bruce was involved in the company itself, like either an investor or maybe he's a founder of it. Did you read any of that?
I doubt greatly that he's a founder of an app,
company?
but I could he might be an investor.
Yeah, he could be. Yeah,
a founding investor, maybe.
Yeah.
So,
who knows? And I don't know.
I only
that
wish
for
the
sure.
best for these guys. I'm not trying to. I'm just saying that I don't think this is the greatest marketing move.
Yeah.
To me, it's just like the whole concept of recreational medical marijuana. When it gets taken over by the big pharma companies, they're going to totally change the way this thing is portrayed. Like right now, it's portrayed like a bunch of stoners got together and went, "Oh, killer! It's recreational. It's legal now. Let's do something." And some guys said, "Let's make weed maps." Like just the word weed,
I know,
is a bad word for your product.
Yeah, totally.
It connotes a lot of negative stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why don't you call it CBD or any? I don't even know.
But
can't you come up with something better than weed? That's like calling something old.
Yeah, but those dudes they want to be first in the market, and they want to be the early guys on the app, so that when
they're going to get bought,
the big pharma company comes along and they'll just buy them up.
Yeah, they're just going to buy it, which is good. I love business. I love people making money. It's all good.
Yeah.
I just cringe from a marketing standpoint. Like, couldn't you and I right now, couldn't we come up with a better name than WeedMaps?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah,
totally. I get it, dude.
How about holistic maps? And it's not just weed, it's not just farm it. Like
holistic has a bunch of attachment to it anyway. I'd stay away from holistic.
Well, we could throw yoga studios on there. All of a sudden, our app is way better for the guy that downloaded it. Like you're getting way more out of it.
Even that though attaches a lot of weight. I would go, yeah.
Here's an idea.
Yeah.
Let's get the WeedMaps House together with the Red Bull House, right?
Okay.
And we have North Shore House Family Feud, where you have like a game show where it's you get those guys baked on their brownies from the WeedMaps House. You get the Red Bull guys all jacked on their Red Bull. You get Jamie O'Brien and those guys. And you have a game show hosted by like Dave Wassel.
Perfect
right?
host. Love him.
Yeah, he's in the middle. And he brings these two guys out and they put up questions and they have Family Feud. They need to do that. Somebody out there, please make this. By the way, this is brought to you somehow or another. Surfer Magazine is part of this. Stab, Trans World Surf Business is a part of this.
No, I think WeedMaps is just spot advertising on all those platforms.
Those companies are on the WeedMaps website.
Really?
Yeah. Like if you go there right now, you would see that they're helping to promote WeedMaps. Maybe they did buy it.
I think WeedMaps, honestly, they did post. They produced a surf edit commercial, basically, and then sent it around to all those sites. So all those sites have Bruce Irons surfing in their WeedMaps commercial video, you know? But I think WeedMaps just paid for the advertising. And maybe on their website, they're just saying, hey, these are websites that our video is on.
No, they're saying...
I'm
not exactly sure what they're saying because I don't have it in front of me. But if you pull it up, it says that in conjunction with Trans World, Stab, and the Enthusiast Network, which is Surfer and Surfing and all those, we're trying to promote this WeedMaps thing. I don't know. Anyway, what are your thoughts?
Yeah,
any more thoughts?
No, I covered it, dude. I'm not against the use of marijuana to treat medical conditions at all, but yeah, I'm not offended by it. But I get what you're saying too. By the way, did you watch? Speaking of Dave Wassel as a host, did you watch the Surfer Poll Awards, which are now being rebranded as the Surfer Awards?
No, I watched some outtakes of Mason Ho, which were absolutely hilarious.
Agreed.
It seems like, to me, with these award shows, I'd rather just see the boiled down good stuff.
Yeah.
And I think Mason Ho was the only boiled down good stuff.
Yeah. Well, you missed then, based on your strategy. Benji Weatherly was hosting the red carpet and interviewing people as they entered.
That might have been good.
Ben Weatherly is amazing, dude. Right?
Was he good?
Amazing. Yeah. My favorite quote was when he told Julian Wilson and Ashley O, who are getting married, he's like, yeah, well, your children will be disgusting.
Oh, he was kidding. He was like tongue in cheek.
Well, yeah, because they're the most beautiful people on the North Shore. It's like Brad Pitt and literally they're gorgeous. And he's just like, your kids are going to be disgusting. But the fact that he even said the word disgusting about children is hilarious.
That is good.
You know, like He was so funny to me, and I want more Benji in my life. Like, he deserves a spot on the WSL commentary. Like, he's great. He's always been great, but it was great to see him again.
Yeah, Benji's one of those guys that they can't try to reel him in.
Not at all.
And I think he's been in a spot. He might have even hosted the Surfer Pole Awards once.
Maybe.
He's been in spots where he felt like he had to kind of calm down or not be himself, and he wasn't as good. He needs to be unleashed. He can't be, we want Benji. Oh, but we don't want that Benji. We want this Benji. It's got to be, we want the real Benji.
And I think that Benji he's got a delicate enough sensibility where he's not going to start going on a rant about some racial tirade or he's not going to use
something about WeedMaps. He's not going to go off.
Like he's actually, he works.
He's savvy.
He's savvy, and he's also just not offensive, like all of his comedy is pretty benign, you know?
Right.
So I think that he'd be great at it. You can let him riff and not worry about him going blue.
So is there a video of just highlights from the red carpet of Benji going off somewhere?
There isn't, and there should be.
There should be. What is going on? Surfer Magazine?
So, on a side note,
yes,
they had the show opened by an actual comedian. This guy, Eddie.
I saw that. Was that any good?
He bombed so hard. Like
it was embarrassing.
It was embarrassing, dude.
Nobody laughed.
It was bad, and then he started turning against the crowd.
Oh, that's
like,
good.
You guys are a great crowd. Oh man, like, come on, guys, you don't get that joke? Like, and it was like, no, we got the joke. It was horrible. Like the comedy, there was no comedy.
I couldn't believe it.
Joke.
I was blown away. I thought that was kind of ballsy to put a comedian because it seemed like it was just some, like, was he from like Ohio or something? Like
he watches surfing. Like, and he said that, and he referenced a couple of things that were like, okay, he obviously watches events and he knows that Matt Wilkinson is a prankster, so he tried to make a Matt Wilkinson joke, But it was, all of it was so lame and completely overshadowed by what Benji did on the red carpet off the cuff.
Right.
And completely overshadowed by Mason Ho, like, who came later in the evening. But it was, I haven't seen a comedian bomb in a while, and it was uncomfortable.
I can't. I would have had to turn it off because I get embarrassed when people are like, I can't watch embarrassing things.
Well, they'd pan to the crowd, and I noticed people were looking at their phone, and I was like, it's not that they don't want to give him attention. They're doing what you said. They're embarrassed for him. They can't even look at him. Right. So they're looking away out of embarrassment. It was bad. So Eddie If bombed hard. That was a highlight for me, actually. Dave Wassel and Alex
for you.
Dave Wassel and Alex Gray hosted. Get rid of Alex Gray. I mean, the kid's a nice kid, but honestly, Dave Wassel can hold his, like, he doesn't need a co-host. Dave Wassel's great. One cool thing that they added this year was live music. So instead of, when you're going into a clips package, pushing play on the audio track, they had a live music just score the evening, all of it, and they did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, the Mattson too; those guys are great.
They did a great job.
Yeah.
John Florence won in the men's division, first place.
Right.
Carissa Moore won in the women's division.
Surprise,
so congrats
surprise.
to those two. Let's Be Frank won the movie of the year. Did you ever see it?
No,
Man,
Frank Solomon.
It's so good.
I gotta see that.
I interviewed those guys, and honestly, Peter Hamblin is the creative genius behind the film.
Who are they? Give me some insight.
South Africans.
Okay.
So Peter Hamblin, he's worked in film production for a while. He's worked with Red Bull. All the great Red Bull stuff that we've seen in recent years. Like, remember that Ripple Effect series they did on Bob Hurley? There was like a series of 4 pieces a year or two ago. We talked about it on the show, and we just thought they were great. He was involved in that as part of the editing team, and so he wanted to produce this piece on a local surfer from where they grew up in Cape Town. And the local surfer is big wave surfer Frank Solomon, who, to be honest, isn't that great of a surfer. And Frank even says it when they won this award on stage. He's just like, dude, the staff in this room who work for the magazines are better surfers than I am. I just happen to partner up with this great filmmaker, and Hurley thankfully supported the project, and here we are, So That's cool. He's a big wave surfer, and he does charge, but he can't do an air reverse, Oh. And like, there's footage of him.
And he's better than me.
There's a footage of him in the film of like charging Puerto Escondido and like Mulligamore or whatever it is in Ireland. Like, he does charge big waves.
Mulligamore.
Is that what it is?
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Something like that.
It's got to be like all of the hard consonants are silent or something. Mullimore.
It's close.
Something like
that's
that.
what it is. So, Frank deserves credit because he does charge. But again,
By the way, the one guy at Surfer Magazine, Ashton.
yeah,
He surfs good.
yeah,
Yeah, and there was a picture. He put a post Instagram of him up at Backdoor the other day. And I know he's a red hot longboarder, but he was on a shortboard and he was getting a nice barrel. So shout out to Ashton. He is the managing editor at Surfer Magazine, and he's a good surfer.
yeah. You had him on
Better
the show.
than good.
You had him on.
Yeah,
the
he's
show.
been on the show. That's right.
So Surfer Pole Awards, I didn't watch it live, but they allow you to view it later. You could just go watch the full event on YouTube or whatever. I watched it.
Did you skip through the individual awards of the surfers? Because
No, they actually synthesized that this year.
smart.
How? They run all the bottom 9 of the top 10 just as a video package. Like, here's the clips.
Good. And they don't get up on stage
9,
at all?
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and that's all in like a 4-minute video package.
That's perfect.
And then they go, and the winner is John John. John John comes and gives a speech.
That's so much better than 10 boring speeches.
Totally. I totally agree.
And did any of the bottom 9 say anything during the videos or anything? And when did they clap for that? At the end or the beginning? Or
They clapped throughout it, and then they just pitched to John John. John comes and gives
That's
a speech.
perfect.
Yeah, I know. They solved it. They solved exactly
That's so
what
much
our
better.
complaint has been.
They've been listening to us, David.
Yeah. Feel so popular. So real quickly, back to the Triple Crown. Ethan Ewing, who's a up-and-coming Australian 18-year-old, 17-year-old that I talked about on the last show as being kind of this hot up-and-comer. He actually won the Triple Crown Rookie of the Year this year based on his performances at Haleiwa and Sunset.
I'm going to roll my eyes like I did with Federico 2 years ago when he won Rookie of the Year of the Triple Crown.
Well,
I'm sure he's a red-hot surfer.
Well, what's more is he's qualified for the 2017 World Tour, so you're going to see a lot more of him this year.
Okay.
And then...
I'll be like your Matt Banting.
Oh, man, that
Did
really
Matt Banting
requalify?
requalify?
Really fell apart. He's been injured all year long, so whatever. I don't know. He might get an injury wild card. And then I read that. So he's on Billabong. I read that his contract with Billabong, based on his recent success, has been renegotiated at $500,000 a year.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I heard. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Billabong's doing so good, but who knows?
I think they've made quite a recovery. But yeah, it's a huge contract for a young kid. So interesting. I always like to have the conversation about the equitability of paying these surf stars.
I see here that Need Essentials. Sorry to interrupt.
No, go.
Need Essentials has got a full thing on Surfline here.
Oh yeah.
Check out the Need Essentials Top Winter Wetsuits presented by Huntington. Do they sell at Huntington Surf and Sport Need Essentials, or is it all direct?
It was all direct, as far as I know. I mean, I had Rob Colby on last week on the show.
I saw that, and I told a guy I was playing golf with a guy yesterday, and I go, I play golf with guys who were just like borderline surfers. They're like, oh, I need a new suit. I'm like, dude, here's the deal: go to Need Essentials, get a new suit. You're gonna dig it. Super good price, super comfortable. I wear one.
Yeah.
So I talk them up all the time, and they're getting a lot of play. They got something off your podcast, and now here they are on Surfline.
Well, and completely, by the way, unsponsored. I know that sounds, and like the Surf Ears thing sounds like a sponsored read. It's not at all.
No.
We paid full price for our products from Need, and
I did.
Magnus gifted us these Surf Ears things. But yeah, none of them have sent checks as an advertisement, or anything like that. So I want to do a quick follow-up. You did a little... we've been covering the Lunada Bay Boys thing. The locals at Lunada Bay who have accosted surfers over the last couple of decades have had lawsuits filed back and forth, and now have had their little structure there, their hangout with a barbecue and cabana, basically. All of that was going to be demolished by the city.
It was last time we talked, they were doing it.
They were doing the demo.
Yeah.
Well, the Bay Boys torched the demo equipment.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So the city workers...
I guess I'm laughing at that.
The city... I mean, it's funny.
It's kind of funny.
It's wrong. It's funny, though. So the Lunada Bay... the demo workers, the city workers, show up one morning to go down and continue demo on the space, and all of their equipment had been set on fire, actually.
Gnarly.
Yeah. So it's assumed that the Bay Boys were
that is incredible.
the culprits or the perpetrators of the crime. So, all right, what else you got?
Well, I'm going to do a little what's the word, David?
Promotion?
Yes, thank you. It's not really for me, but I'm on the board at Surf Aid, and I just want to bring up this month we have a program called Sick Wave Healthy Villages.
Okay.
And David, as you know, Surf Aid was born out of one surfer, Dr. Dave's desire to make a difference, and it's the collective spirit of the Surf Aid community that sustains us more than 16 years later. Combining what we do best, Surf Aid, surf sick waves and build healthy villages. Our latest campaign is an opportunity to give back to the remote island communities that have given us so much. And we're asking that you support our efforts. We're trying to raise $50,000 between now and January 1st. And that's enough funding to bring our full-scale mother and child health program to 2 villages in these remote parts of Indonesia. So, David, I'm asking the listeners to do yourself a favor. Go onto the Surf Aid website. Take a peek at what we're doing. We're saving lives. This is real money put to real good use, and I'm real proud to be a part of it. So, Sick Wave Healthy Villages. If you're interested, please help us get to the $50,000 mark, and you're going to help save the lives of mothers and children. By the way, I think last quarter we had only one mother die during childbirth, which is a big. I think the quarter before that we had 8 mothers die during childbirth,
yeah.
And so the dollars are being used, and we're seeing a great effect.
Yeah, and I mean, this is just real basic support that they need, like very, very basic medical attention.
What we do is self-sustaining stuff.
Yeah.
So we go into these villages and we're like, look, here's where you need to build a potty, so we'll build them a latrine.
Away from your water source.
Yeah, away from your water. So we'll even build pipeline water sources in.
Yeah.
Basic stuff that's
basic for you and I.
Basic for you and I that they don't have that we're helping them with.
Yeah.
So that's what we do. And it's the kind of thing that can be then carried on from generation to generation. So they can then tell the next pregnant mom and her to-be child, here's what, so it's self-sustaining.
Yeah, totally. No, it's a good cause, of course. Mother-child initiative. So, by the way, PipeMasters, is this for you or for me?
It's for both of us, Drew.
Okay.
PipeMasters is coming out. Are they running it? It's not.
So yeah,
the pipe trials.
The pipe trials is on, by the way.
It's on.
I just wanted to ask you real quickly about your thoughts on pipe going into it. Last week I did a little pre-pipe show.
Yeah, why don't you give us a little bit of your pre-pipe show?
I'm going to recap what my thoughts were. I came up with a couple of guys who really need to prove themselves. Of course, the highlights are the best surfers of the event, but for me, the second most enjoyable thing to see is the guys who have something on the line. They either need to re-qualify, so they're going to go out there and throw themselves over the ledge, or they just have something to prove because they're known as small wave surfers and they need to go out there and not be humiliated at 8 to 10 foot pipe. So for me, 2 people that really need to prove themselves this year, Felipe Toledo. Number 2, Matt Wilkinson. Wow. So Felipe Toledo, the guy really hasn't proven himself in big waves. He could be a real world title contender if he can figure out how to surf big barreling waves. Matt Wilkinson, on the other hand, he's gotten barreled on big lefts, at Cloudbreak and Chopu, but he needs to prove himself as a legitimate world title contender. He led the ratings through the first half of the year. Is it a fluke, or does he deserve to be in the same conversation as Gabriel Medina, John Florence, and Kelly Slater? My argument is he doesn't, but he can reassert and reestablish his name in that conversation by winning Pipeline.
I think that is such a great selection for a guy who needs to do well. And it's not that he can't. We know he can ride the wave. It's more about what you said was, let's end this thing. Let's bookend this thing on a positive note. He started out so strong and he sort of faded. He has totally faded. And wouldn't it be great if he was a semifinalist? Yeah. I think Matt needs to make the semifinals to kind of have a good feeling about his season.
Yeah.
Like right now, it's kind of, you sense that it's a little bit nag. I'm sure he wouldn't say that, but as a fan, we're like, who is Matt Wilkinson? I haven't even seen him in 5 months.
We could all laugh it off as like, yeah, you made a run, and that was a fluke. Now we're going to watch it drop back to.
It's actually probably the most important event of the year for him.
I would agree.
If he doesn't do well in this event, Matt Wilkinson will forever be a guy that can't win the world title.
Yeah. So I also have a dark horse pick, and then I have my 2 front runners. Do you want to offer a dark horse pick and your front runners, or should I just roll into mine?
Go ahead.
My dark horse pick, Keanu Singh.
That's a good one.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is a good one. He's worthy.
I think Keanu, his requalification hinges on a result here. He's outside. He's in 23rd position, actually, so he's right kind of on the cut line. 22 is the cut. He lost his sponsor, Fox. They're no longer in the surf game. He doesn't have any free surf career to speak of, and I don't think that he could re-qualify on the QS, because he doesn't have an air game. So his entire career hinges on this result. Honestly, if he gets bumped off tour, he doesn't have a major sponsor, and he has no free surf career. So all of his eggs are in this one basket, and he's literally one spot out of qualification. He's kind of comes from the same.
Adriano?
No. Well, but also he's this stocky, regular-footed Hawaiian nugget.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Johnny Boy Gomes in a sense, and to a lesser degree, Dane Kealoha. Like, he could... Well,
I would say a lesser degree to both Johnny Boy and Dane. He's nowhere near the power surfer that those two guys are.
But he's somewhat a version of those, you know, and like he could go backdoor and dominate backdoor, but also his backhand is phenomenal. Yeah. So like he could actually bag a really good result. The other thing is he's got such a work ethic. Like he qualified this way where he needed the result and he went out at sunset and got it. And then he also, I don't know if you remember 2 years ago in Brazil, him doing a massive alley-oop in a round 3 heat against Gabriel Medina when Gabriel was going to win his world title that year. And he beat Gabe in Brazil doing a massive air, which Gabe's known for doing airs, you know? So he can make it happen when he needs to. And I
thought you said he didn't have an air game.
He doesn't. He did a massive alley-oop with no air game. You know what I mean? Like,
just pulled one out.
He only does it when he needs a result. So I think Keanu is going to make an unbelievable charge right here and requalify. So he's my dark horse pick.
That's a really great dark horse pick, Keanu Singh. By the way, the waves look like crap.
They're shifty. I think they're going to get better throughout the day. You know, like this first heat or two is going to blow.
Yeah.
I have a really
dark horse. I'll just say this about there really is no such thing as a dark horse at the PipeMasters. Like,
really?
When was the last time a dark horse won?
Bede Durbich.
Well, that wasn't really even real pipe.
No, it was like 2 foot A-OK.
And Bede's, I guess Bede would be considered a dark horse, but
for sure he was.
I guess at any, probably more so than any other event, it's always the top guys in the finals. It feels like.
Oh yeah.
And this is also one of those events where the most interesting thing about pipe is that you can be comboed and in a matter of 2 waves win the heat.
Yeah.
It's so, things happen so quick at pipe that it's.
And those 2 waves could be in the matter of 3 minutes.
No, exactly. At the end of the heat, your last 2 waves and you're out of, you've got 9.5 and a 9.3 and you're through.
Totally.
And that's what makes it such a fascinating event to watch.
Yeah.
It's because there's a right and a left, because so anyway, that's my point, is that of any of the events, this one has those last minute nail biter heats.
Give me your top 2.
Top 2 guys?
To win the event. Top 2 guys are going to be in the final.
I guess I would go only 2?
Yep. Well, there's only 2 allowed in the final. This is a stipulation of the WSL, not my own.
I'm gonna go with John and Kelly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm going John and Gabriel.
That's who my other choice would have been.
So what? How do you think? Okay, so you think Kelly's actually going to make the final? See,
yes. Kelly what? Didn't Kelly win Volcom less than a year ago?
Yeah, but. Dude.
Yeah, but what?
Yeah, but when did he win? I mean, he's won 2.
Didn't he reassign himself and rededicate himself to the tour next year?
Yeah.
And doesn't he have a house at Pipe and Pipe's where he's lived at Pipe? Nobody owns Pipe the way that Kelly owns Pipe competitively. I know Jamie O'Brien could go out there on any day and do insane stuff, but
yeah.
Are you saying that Kelly's lost his pipe game because in the matter of 8 months?
I think Kelly's the best surfer at pipe ever. I just think that Kelly doesn't have the drive that he needs to win the PipeMasters.
Based on what?
based on his surfing for the last 2 or 3 years. Like
he won Pipe 10 months ago.
He won the Volcom.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not the PipeMasters. Like, I agree. Like, it was an impressive
What did he do
win.
last year in the PipeMasters?
I'll tell you, actually. He lost in...
I think he did pretty good.
No. Last year, I think he lost in the quarters, I want to say. Shoot.
Okay, so he's one heat away from the finals.
I have it written down. He's won the PipeMasters only twice in the last 17 years, by the way. He lost in round 3 in 2014, and he made the quarters last year. Yeah, he lost in the quarters last year, and he lost in round 3 in 2014. So I'm just saying, Kelly's synonymous with PipeMasters.
So what round do you think Kelly Slater's going to lose in?
5.
Round 5.
I think Kelly can go out there. Like, I think Kelly's the best surfer of all time out there. I just think that there's...
don't.
Listen, I'm telling you, I do.
Sorry.
I just think that there's 5 to 10 surfers who will not drop their guard throughout the entire event. Like, Gabriel Medina finished twice. He finished second place 2 years in a row out there. His only goal is to win that event this year, and there's nothing going to stand in his way. World title's not on the line. John Florence, he's lost a little bit of drive because he's won the world title.
But he's never won the PipeMasters.
No, so he's got drive for that, but it's a little bit deferred because he already won the world title. Kelly, to be honest, there's no world title. Like, he's done it a bunch of times.
This is his world title.
I think, and he's got all these other obligations. Like, he's always, like, I just feel like Gabriel's sight is on first place.
I would suggest to you that his only obligation from now until the end of this event is to win this event. That he's focused on this event. That he's hopefully going to listen to this and use your crappy words as inspiration.
I hope he does too.
To put you and Gabe Medina in their place.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Because if he's rededicated to 2017, this is the time to put the fear of God in everybody.
Yeah, I just think there will be a 5-minute sequence of time at some point in this event where he'll have his guard down slightly, or he'll be thinking about wave pool obligations or KS design obligations. And in that little 5-minute interlude, either Gabriel Medina or Idolo or Wiggly or one of these guys who has the, all the drive and determination in the world, they will catch him in his slip up. They'll make a priority paddle and catch him off guard and get the score they need, and he'll get bumped out. That's how I feel. I don't feel like he has the eye of the tiger in the way that Gabriel does.
Oh, my God.
I just don't, dude. Hey, let's wager on it.
A wager?
I'm going round 5 finish for Kelly at best.
Okay, I'm saying he'll do better than round 5. How much?
What's the wager? What's the wager?
You tell me. You're the one that's so confident that Kelly's not going to get past round 5.
Last year, we had a pipe wager on Bruce, and it was $100, and I won it.
Yeah, and I paid it.
$100 again?
Yeah.
All right.
$100.
$100.
Kelly goes past round 5.
Okay, I'm good with that.
All right.
$100. Listeners heard it here first.
Do I always pay my debts?
I'm not saying you don't, dude. Okay. I'm just saying I've never had to pay up on mine because I win.
Now I'm pissed. Kelly, you better.
No, like here's the problem.
Here's some extra motivation for you, Kelly. $100.
Here's the problem with me wagering. I want Kelly to win. Like, I actually want him to win this event. I just don't think he will.
Oh, my God. That is even more inspiration, Slater.
Yeah. All right.
Do something.
Do you got Duke and Kook or Must See or any of that?
I'm on the WeedMaps app. I've got it right here. I pulled it up. They have taco stands and donut shops in addition to where you can buy weed on this app.
Those things go great with the munchies, I guess is what it is. I'm
just kidding. They don't have that on.
Oh, they don't. Okay, so my Duke of the week is Russell Bierke. Did you see his video, Berserky?
Yeah, I put it on my website, boardroomshow.com, where you can also get this podcast.
How insane is Russell Bierke?
He's incredible.
18-year-old ginger, regular foot ginger from, is he from West Oz? He's from Australia.
I'm not sure. Maybe, I want to say South Oz, like those remote, sharky, cold reefs.
Dude, the kid charges hours, the right, ship sterns, like the most gurgling, tripled up, unbelievable waves. He won the Red Bull Cape Fear this year.
Yeah, that's really where he came on the map.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he was out there and there was a lot of footage, like still imagery on magazine covers and stuff, but he really sort of came to life for the masses at that Cape Fear event.
Yeah. So O'Neill just put out like a 15-minute edit of Russell Bierke, and it's unbelievable. So he's my Duke of the week. My Kook of the week is the Inertia.
Oh, wow. the Inertia got lit up about the Dane Reynolds thing on Instagram.
I mean, dude, did you read their piece?
It was basically, go ahead. You tell us what the Inertia said. Summarize what the Inertia said about because you and I, we went on and on about how incredible, and we still feel that way, the Dane Reynolds movie was.
They basically published this, one of their contributing writers, J.P. Curry, wrote this piece that really just lambasted Dane Reynolds and his film Chapter 11. And it wasn't a critique of the film itself. It was really a critique of Dane. And it was just like, Dane's a hypocrite for shaming Quicksilver and then advertising his own brand at the end of his little video. He's and like earning millions and millions of dollars off of this thing. And like, he should be thanking his fans. We're the ones that support him. And he never once says that. I'll give you a quote right here. I don't know that it's the best quote, but he says, remember I read a quote from Dane's film, and he was saying, I feel like I should thank Quicksilver, but who is Quicksilver? Who do I thank? Everyone that I work there with is gone. Well, J.P. Curry uses that exact quote, which I thought was really poignant from Dane, or insightful from Dane, and J.P. Curry says, well, Dane, unless you mean gone as in dead, then presumably they are human beings who helped you that you could still name check whether or not they work for Quicksilver anymore. And failing that, how about you give a nod to surf fans, an acknowledgement to the surf fans of the world who gobble up every meager scrap of surf meal that you throw to them like desperate, pathetic little chickens. These people have made you a millionaire because they like watching you ride a surfboard. They deserve a little credit.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
That's bullshit.
Like, basically,
fans don't have to watch it if they don't want to. Dane Reynolds puts it out there. It's up, like it's not like Dane's putting a gun to my head.
JP really, I felt offended for Dane. I was reading this piece going, JP, you misunderstood Dane entirely, and that's your prerogative. And like, you can critique the film, I suppose, but you're shaming Dane as a human being and Dane's motives and Dane's sentiment and Dane's like. It was offensive to me to read.
And now tell us what Dane said about this, because Dane was pissed.
So Dane took to Instagram and basically just poured his heart out and was like, hey, I put this video out there, and you guys can criticize it or not, but like, I got really good feedback, and some people have approached me on the beach and said really positive things, and some gave me criticism, but it's all good. And then he finished his Instagram post with a big salute with a bunch of middle finger emojis.
He said, fuck you to the Inertia.
To the Inertia for publishing the silliest, most ill-informed misinterpretation of a review. Your review left me seething. Whether the film was good or not, what you got out of it was completely skewed. Of course, everyone is entitled to their opinion. And so, in my opinion, your review sucks. Your site sucks. And I'm relieved to never respond to your silly emails again. So
that sucks. If you're the Inertia, you're bummed. Like, that was not worth it.
Well, then Zach Weisberg at the Inertia posted a follow-up piece to Dane's thing. It was like, oh, hey, Dane. Well, we should be allowed to have, discourse about our opinions and blah, 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 blah. And it was just so lame. Like,
yeah, you can. Just don't email me.
Yeah, the whole thing is silly. But I honestly, my kook of the week is the Inertia for even publishing the piece. In my estimation, it was pure clickbait. It was like, Dane Reynolds is going to get clicks. And also, Chapter 11 has been really the most important film that we've seen this year. So anything we can do to put Chapter 11 in the title, let's do that. And here's what's better yet. Everybody loves Chapter 11. Let's take a contrarian stance on Chapter 11, because that'll get the most views out of anything. And it did, but honestly, it made me never want to click on an Inertia article again. Like, I've already been over the Inertia. We've talked about it on this show. Like, it's so clickbaity and so lack of anything important or anything worth my time for the last 2 years. This was the final blow. This was kind of like, wow, I'm actually offended by what you guys are publishing now.
Well, I didn't realize the depth which Chaz and the guys at Beach Grit have a feud with the Inertia, because Chaz, they just went off on Instagram regarding this, and it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But, look, Zach's a friend of mine. I only wish him the best. He's done he's done well, and he's always been sort of controversial.
Hey, Zach, honestly, and I've had him on the show, and like I like Zach as an individual. I lament to see the direction that the inertia has gone.
I just sense
like
that
it's pandering to the lowest common denominator.
It needs some sort of editorial filter. Like it just seems like his whole thing is, hey, anyone can post anytime. Just go ahead and throw it up there. And somebody needs, at some point, I don't know, I guess you would think that you would get some sort of editorial vision that would sort of monitor. There'd be a prism from which everything was looked at things. And I'm not sure that exists. This is just like throw it up against the wall, whatever sticks.
Yeah. Well, their mission statement on their site is like something that seems really noble. I forget what it is and I don't have it in front of me, but it's just like, providing like-minded thinkers with a platform to discuss important topics that involve surfing or whatever. But one of their posts recently was just a video of a chick farting underwater.
Like-minded individual. I might click on that.
You know what I mean? But it's kind of like, well, all right, dude, you can't like.
Whatever, I know, right?
Whatever. Anyways, so my must-see moment is the video of the Australian dude punching the kangaroo.
Gnarly.
Did you see it?
My son showed it to me.
How gnarly is that?
It was crazy.
So gnarly. This guy squares up.
It's so funny.
His dog's getting attacked by the kangaroo. He runs over to rescue his dog. The kangaroo takes one or two last swipes at the dog and then stands up in a boxing stance to fight the dude. And the dude just straight up throws a right hook and lands it square on the jaw of the kangaroo. The kangaroo gets dazed. The dog runs free, and then the guy just backs off and runs away. It was awesome.
That is insanely cool.
It was so gnarly.
That is for sure the Duke of the Week. Or is that your
must-see moment?
Yeah, you got to see that.
It's so gnarly. And I know animal rights activists are probably going to be like, that kangaroo has feelings too. But the kangaroo was going to attack. It was attacking the guy's dog.
This is a kangaroo safe space, this podcast. So we need to make sure we're clear on that.
Send kangaroo steaks to the boardroom show. No.
Round 1 of the trials just finished, and
Heat 1.
Heat 1. Excuse me. Thank you. And it's quite underwhelming.
The winning score was 3.57.
Yeah, Kalani Chapman's getting out of the water. That's Reef McIntosh. These guys, I don't know. They deserve a little better than this.
Yeah.
But
we'll discuss it on our next show.
Yeah.
If anybody, listeners, by the way, by all means, we would love any denomination of donation, but feel free. $5 a month is a small price to pay for the amount of work that Scott and I are putting into this. So we encourage you to donate to the show. You could do that either on surfsplendorpodcast.com or theboardroomshow.com. Both go into the same bucket. And
if we get enough $5 monthly subscribers, we're going to do this show every week, and that's what we're hoping for. So,
$305 a month subscribers.
$5 divided by 30, it's like 60 cents a day or something like that.
Yeah, I like it.
I don't even know. Let me do the math.
No, $1.25 a show or $1, whatever. Yeah.
Here, I'm going to divide 30.
But also 5. Check in.
It's 60 cents a day.
We're both on social media at Surf Splendor.
That's cheaper than WeedMaps.
Cheaper than anything. Cheaper than your Morning Joe. Cheaper than.
And please send in your emails. Dave is hello
at surfsplendorpodcast.com.
Hello at surfsplendorpodcast.com. And you can reach me at Surf Talk San Diego. surftalksandiego@gmail.com.
Yeah. So awesome show, Scott.
Until next time, when we will be talking about the Pipeline Master. By the way, they're going to get some big swell. At the end of this week, I think they're going to have some surf.
Yeah.
So it might be a bit junky and windy and weird, but there's going to be some thumping pipeline.
Yeah.
All right. Until next time, adios and aloha.